Ingenious, said Dumbledore, but it sounds a rather tiring existence for a broken-down old buffer in search of a quiet life. Now, if you were to return to Hogwarts, if you're going to tell me my life would be more peaceful at that pestilential school, you can save your breath, Almus. I might have been hiding, but some funny rumors have reached me since Dolores Umbridge left, if that's how you treat teachers these days. Professor Umbridge ran afoul of our centaur herd, said Dumbledore. I think you, Horace, would have known better than to stride into the forest and call a horde of angry centaurs filthy half-breeds. That's what she did she? Said Slughorn. Idiotic woman. Never liked her. Harry chuckled, and both Dumbledore and Slughorn looked around at him. Sorry, Harry said hastily. It's just that I didn't like her either. Dumbledore stood up rather suddenly. Are you leaving? Said Slughorn at once, looking hopeful. No, I was wondering whether I might use your bathroom, said Dumbledore. Oh, said Slughorn, clearly disappointed. Second on the left, down the hall. Dumbledore strode from the room. Once the door had closed behind him, there was silence. After a few moments, Slughorn got to his feet, but seemed uncertain what to do with himself. He shot a furtive look at Harry, then crossed to the fire and turned his back on it, warming his wide behind. Don't think I don't know why he's brought you, he said abruptly. Harry merely looked at Slughorn. Slughorn's watery eyes slid over Harry's scar, this time taking in the rest of his face. You look very like your father. Yeah, I've been told, said Harry. Except for her eyes. You've got my mother's eyes, yeah. Harry had heard it so often he found it a bit wearing. Humph, yes, well, you shouldn't have favorites as of teachers, of course, but she was one of mine. Your mother, Slughorn added, in answer to Harry's questioning. Lily Evans, one of the brightest I've ever taught. Vivacious, you know. Charming girl. I used to tell her she ought to have been in my house. Very cheeky answers I used to get back, too. Which was your house? I was head of Slytherin, said Slughorn. Oh, now. He went on, quickly, seeing the expression on Harry's face and wagging a stubby finger at him. Don't go holding that against me. You'll be Gryffindor like her, I suppose. Yes, it usually goes in the families. Not always, though. Ever heard of Sirius Black? You must have done. Been in the paper for the last couple of years. Died a few weeks ago. It was as though an invisible hand had twisted Harry's intestines and held them tight. Well, anyway, he was a big pal of your father's at school. The whole Black family had been in my house, but Sirius ended up in Gryffindor. Shame. He was a talented boy. I got his brother Regulus when he came along, but I would have liked to have the set. He sounded like an enthusiastic collector who had been outbid at auction. Apparently lost in memories, he gazed at the opposite wall, turning idly at the spot to ensure that an even heat on his backside. Your mother was Muggle-born, of course. Couldn't believe it when I found out. Thought she must have been pure-blooded. She was so good. One of my best friends is Muggle-born, said Harry, and she's the best in our year. Funny how that sometimes happens, isn't it? Said Slughorn. Not really, Harry said coldly. Slughorn looked down at him in surprise. You mustn't think I'm prejudiced, he said. No. Haven't I just said your mother was one of my all-time favorite students? And there was Dirk Cresswell in the year after her, too. Now head of the Goblin Liaison Office, of course, another Muggle-born, a very gifted student, and still gives me excellent inside information on the ongoings at Gringotts. He bounced up and down a little, smiling in a self-satisfied way, and pointing at the many glittering photograph frames on the dresser, each peopled with tiny moving occupants. All ex-students, all signed. You'll notice Barnabas Cough, editor of the Daily Prophet. He's always interested to hear my take on the day's news. And Ambrosius Flume of Honeydukes, a hamper every birthday, and all because I was able to give him an introduction to Caesarion Harkis, who gave him his first job. And at the back, you'll see here if you cane your neck, that's Gweenog Jones, who is of course the captain of the Holyhead Harpies. People are always astonished to hear I'm on first name terms with her and the Harpies. Free tickets whenever I want them. This thought seemed to cheer him up enormously. And all those people know where to find you and send you stuff? Asked Harry, who could not help wondering why the Death Eaters had not yet tracked down Slughorn, if hampers of sweets, Quidditch tickets, and visitors craving his advice and opinions could find him. The smile slid from Slughorn's face as quickly as the blood from the walls. Of course not, he said, looking down at Harry. I have been out of touch with everybody for a year. Harry had the impression that these words shocked Slughorn himself. He looked quite unsettled for a moment. Then he shrugged. Still, the prudent wizard keeps his head down in such times. All very well for Dumbledore to talk, but taking up a post at Hogwarts just now would be a tantamount to declaring my public allegiance to the Order of the Phoenix. And while I'm sure they are very admirable and brave and all the rest of it, but I personally don't fancy the mortality rate. You don't have to join the order to teach at Hogwarts, said Harry, who could not keep quiet, a tone of derision in his voice. It was hard to sympathize with Slughorn's cosseted existence when he remembered Sirius, crouching in a cave and living on rats. Most of the teachers aren't in it, and none of them has ever been killed. Well, unless you count Quirrell, and he got what he deserved, seeing as he was working with Voldemort. Harry had been sure Slughorn would be one of those wizards who could not bear to hear Voldemort's name spoken aloud, and was not disappointed. Slughorn gave a shudder and a squawk of protest, which Harry ignored. I reckon the staff are safer than most people with Dumbledore's headmaster. He's supposed to be the only one Voldemort ever feared, isn't he? Harry went on. Slughorn gazed into space for a moment or two. He seemed to be thinking over Harry's words. Well, yes, that is true. He who must not be named has never sought to fight with Dumbledore, he muttered grudgingly. And I suppose one could argue that I have not joined the Death Eaters. He who must not be named can hardly count me as a friend. In which case, I might well be safer closer to Albus. I cannot pretend that Amelia Bowen's death did not shake me. If she, with all the Ministry contacts and protection... Dumbledore re-entered the room, and Slughorn jumped as though he had forgotten he was in the house. Oh, you are here, Albus, he said. You've been very long time. Upset stomach? No, I was merely reading the Muggle magazines, said Dumbledore. I do love knitting patterns. Well, Harry, we have trespassed upon Horace's hospitality quite long enough. I think it is time for us to leave. Not at all reluctant to obey, Harry jumped to his feet. Slughorn seemed taken aback. You're leaving? Yes, indeed. I think I know a lost cause when I see one. Lost? Slughorn seemed agitated. He twiddled his fat thumbs and fidgeted as he watched Dumbledore fastening his traveling cloak and Harry zip up his jacket. Well, I'm sorry you don't want the job, Horace, said Dumbledore, raising his uninjured hand in a farewell salute. Hogwarts would have been glad to see you back again. Our greatly increased security notwithstanding, you will always be welcome to visit, should you wish to. Yes, well, very gracious, as I say. Goodbye, then. Bye, said Harry. They were at the front door when there was a shout from behind them. All right, I'll do it. Dumbledore turned to see Slughorn standing breathlessly in the doorway to the sitting room. You will come out of retirement? Yes, said Slughorn impatiently. I must be mad, but yes. Wonderful, said Dumbledore, beaming. Then, Horace, we shall see you on the 1st of September? Yes, I dare say you will, grunted Slughorn. As they set down the garden path, Slughorn's voice floated after them. I want a pay raise, Dumbledore. Dumbledore chuckled. The garden's gate swung shut behind them, and they set off back down the hill through the dark and swirling mist. Well done, Harry, said Dumbledore. I didn't do anything, said Harry in surprise. Oh, yes, you did. You showed Horace exactly how much he stands to gain by returning to Hogwarts. Do you like him?